On a Sunday morning here, 30 minutes to kick off, 12:15 Eastern, getting you ready for your NFL Week 10 Sunday game already taking place over there in Berlin. And I'm going to start the day 0-1, Tom, because Daniel Jones absolutely stinks. What do you think about that?
Started off strong, a lot of scoring, and then, this is the thing a lot of people were waiting for was a bit of regression for Daniel Jones. And the turnovers, the empty drives, the fumbles, the sacks, all those things are happening at the same time. And I know the Colts just broke off a big run, and they're up right now, but disappointment from him, to say the least.
Yeah, inside the 20 now for Atlanta, under 2 minutes. We'll see how that one checks out. So obviously when that plays get updated, we'll keep you informed. But you might look at Daniel Jones, 16 of 21, 212, touchdown, interception, and say to yourself, you know what, he's actually having a pretty good game. Passer rating, 103.7. That's not the case if you watch this game. Trigger shy, outside of the first 3 or 4 drives, nothing going here. But when you have Jonathan Taylor in that backfield, 26 carries, 210 yards, and 2 touchdowns, everything's going to be all right.
Yeah, huge game from him. And, this is what I was expecting, especially after last week. I said this throughout the week. Like, this was just a game for the Colts to get back on track. Give the ball to Taylor, 25-plus times. I know he's getting close to 30, but you give him the ball 25-plus times against this bad run defense, and they really should be in a good spot.
Yeah, you take a look down the stretch, too, because, let's just say the Colts win this, which we don't know. Inside the 20, Atlanta scores a touchdown. You're going to have to go down the length of the field, at least kick a field goal or whatever to win this game if you're the Colts. But the one thing that, they're very good. And the problem is, can you imagine if Daniel Jones wasn't actually the quarterback and they had, a legit thrower back there? They have 3 really good wideouts, a really good tight end, a dominant offensive line, and maybe the best running back in football right now. And it just seems like he might handicap them there as the season goes. And we're talking about a team that might be 8-2 at the end of today. Interesting one here. Michael Penix, 177 and a touchdown. Bijan's been good. 16 carries, 83 yards, 5.2 yards per carry. Algier, 7 carries, 40 yards and a touchdown, 5.7 yards per carry. Pretty good stuff there from that side of it. But we're coming right down to the wire. And again, we'll keep the people invested. Any wagers did you have in this game, Tom? Colts at Falcons?
No, I didn't. I was considering the under, didn't take it. It's nice to see Taylor have a huge game on my most important dynasty team, but this was just a kind of a stay away spot for me. I thought the Colts would win. I didn't like the number, and it's really right within that range right now.
Let's get it popping here. By the way, game in the Meadowlands today, Cleveland Browns and the New York Jets, Tom. 1 o'clock kickoff. We were supposed to have rain all throughout this game. But it looks like the forecast say maybe a slight chance of rain here, which is a big change. 63, 64-degree temperatures. Winds around 10 miles per hour, which is normal there for MetLife. This line here, -2.5 to -1.5, depending on where you're shopping at, as a favorite for Cleveland and the New York Jets here with a total of 37.5. I got to tell you, I like the Jets in this game, Tom. Am I wrong?
Certainly not wrong, especially I see a 2.5 now, at least over on FanDuel. So I would certainly be looking to take that as the Falcons push inside the 10-yard line, it looks like, with sub 2 minutes. But getting 2.5 with the Jets, I think, is fine. It's shaping up to be better than we expected when it comes to rain. There will be some rain, but liking the Jets is fine. The answer comes down to how are they going to get it done and what does the final score look like? Because ultimately, I don't think you want the ball in Justin Fields' hands dropping back this much against Myles Garrett.
Yeah, let me see. We've got some of these. I'm just going to slide down to bring up some of these prop bets that are listed. And also, a little bit of that, hey, who's going to start at quarterback today? It is going to be Justin Fields. His passing prop, 166.5. The one thing I look at that, Tom, and I say to myself, I don't like Justin Fields, but Garrett Wilson is back. And also, you don't run on Cleveland. You don't run on Cleveland. So it's got to be passing, right?
It does. And as usual, Garrett Wilson is back, plus 120 to catch a pass on the first drive. Yep. Always interesting. So it's a really tough game to handicap just based on super tough defensive matchup on the ground. You don't want Fields throwing the ball too much. The weather could play a part when it's all said and done as they get down to the Falcons. Get down to the 1-yard line.
Yeah.
I spoke to you about Breece Hall, earlier in the week. I like him under 64.5 rushing yards. I just don't see this as a huge breakout game for him. And that number has dropped to 62. So at least I'm ahead of the number a little bit. I would say if you don't have to bet this game, don't.
Yeah. Touchdown props in this one. Judkins only favorite at -130. Everybody else is plus money. I don't love it because, like, hey, let me take Garrett Wilson. Well, Garrett Wilson coming off an injury. I don't like to do that. You already have a bad quarterback, but I thought this game would have a little bit worse of conditions there on the field to play, and it doesn't look like that's going to be the case.
Fields at plus 200, I would say.
That?
Fields at plus 200 would be the only one that interests me just objectively. Yeah. I'm not going to bet on him, but instead of going with Breece Hall, a quarterback scramble bootleg, Fields at 2-1, I think is fine.
Yeah, interesting stuff over there all the way. But I'm telling you, like, it's one of those games where it could just backfire, and the Jets aren't supposed to be winning any games here down the stretch, as you know, but at the same time, looks like Atlanta did get in the end zone. Was that Algier, or was that
yeah, I'm streaming it, so you're just like, I'm on NFL Plus, so you're just a few
seconds. And again, like, if you're a Bijan fan today, 2 for Algier, none for Bijan, woo, tough scene, but that'll give them the lead. Yeah. This is going to be interesting here, too, because it's 23-22, 144 left. Colts only have 1 timeout. But this 2-point conversion coming down to it, if you get the 2, that means you can't lose on a field goal, which is probably a best-case scenario for the Colts to get in the field goal range. Right. But if you don't get this 2-point conversion, then obviously we got it.
And the Colts already have a missed field goal and a missed extra point today.
He came up short on a 53-yarder, too. You don't see that too much in the NFL at this point right now. And no wind in the stadium either. It's like really good kicking conditions right now. Let's see what we got. See if somebody on let me just see on FanDuel to see what their number is. It's not up yet. I'm just holding on until this 2-point conversion goes through.
Yeah.
44 left.
I still see 23.
Yep, they got it. 25-22 on FanDuel. Yeah, so it's a little bit ahead of the TV stream. So there you go. Colts need to drive down the field and kick a field goal to tie and then get to overtime. But it's Daniel Jones.
1 timeout
at this point. Yeah, 1 timeout too. All right, there you go. We'll keep the people updated when that score changes as well, Tom. Next game up, New Orleans and Carolina. Shuck versus Young. 3.5 to 5.5. You take a look at this game, too. Weather conditions, 71 degrees, Tom. No rain, and only about 12 to 13 mile-an-hour winds in that one, so not too bad. A total of 38.5. It's hard to me to say I want to take a rookie quarterback on the road, but I just feel sometimes when I look at Carolina and say to myself, they're the heavy public favorite in this game. Yes, they should win this game. Tet McMillan showed up on that hamstring injury on Friday, but he set the play today. That worries me a bit. It's a tough game to pick out. I don't have any wagers myself, but if I had to, I probably still would take New Orleans getting the 5.5 because I just don't like the Panthers playing as a favorite. That's all.
Right. I saw that the Panthers were a very popular pick in, I think it was the Circus Survivor pool, which is always interesting. Like you said, a pretty heavy public team. A lot of people just looking at a rookie quarterback with Tyler Shuck. They also lost an offensive option with Rashid Shaheed being traded to the Saints. I actually do have a bet in this game. Juwan Johnson over 36.5 receiving yards. Panthers bottom 5 in the league, I believe it is, or definitely bottom 10. I think it might be bottom 5 in terms of total receiving yards allowed to opposing tight ends. That target tree is condensed for the Saints with Rashid Shaheed being traded. It's going to be Olave. It's going to be Juwan Johnson. It's going to be Kamara in there. It's going to be Taysom Hill doing whatever. They're going to be playing from behind. And 36.5 is not a big number. And I know Tyler Shuck, he could go out there and have a total of 150 yards. But, man, that should be going to Juwan Johnson.
Big return for the Colts there, at least a 40-plus yard return. So they're going to be out somewhere around midfield, 137 left. We might be getting extra football here today, Tom, before it's all said and done. Again, we'll keep the people posted when some big plays happen here. Buffalo and Miami. Allen and Tua Tagovailoa. This line's 8.5 across the board. Some 8s now showing up, but some people might be believing in Miami, or it's just that the Buffalo Bills favored by that much against a division opponent on the road, but a total around 50.5 to 49.5. Now, when we talk about tight ends that should be open in this game, I do look at the Buffalo Bills. They should have some tight ends open in this football game. I like Josh Allen to move the football up and down the field on that Dolphins team. The question, though, Tom, is can Miami counter against Buffalo enough to get that game over the total?
It would have to be a big H-N game because we know the Bills are terrible against the run. And I will say, at least per Kevin Roth, the meteorologist, he is saying for this game, this is a quote, there's a legitimate chance of a downpour in Miami. You can't really pinpoint this kind of activity until it's already happening, but there's some rain around the stadium and there's a chance that it ends up over the stadium. If that's the case, the 49.5 or 50 total is way too high. And I'm taking the points with the Dolphins, who've already covered once against the Bills in that Thursday night game. I think they were 12.5-point underdogs, if I remember correctly. The Bills did cover in that. The Dolphins covered in that game. The Bills won it, but it was a late win for them. It would be a big running game on both sides. It would be Achane and Cook both having big games. The 49.5 would be too high if the rain does impact things. And I think taking the points with the Dolphins at 8.5 is an okay way to do it. Again, my favorite route is going to be Bills in-game number at sub a touchdown. because the Dolphins are just a team I don't want to back. Backing Tua in any capacity is never a thing I'm comfortable with.
Yeah, and also Rasul Douglas is down. Same as Chop Robinson. You traded Jalen Phillips. Like, I don't even know where the defensive line's getting any pressure. What's Bradley Chubb going to show up today? I do think Buffalo names their price, but it is a tough one to say how much you need to win by or just walk away with this one. Touchdown scoring market in this game. Of course, James Cook minus 175, Devon Achane minus 150. Certainly the lead dogs. Josh Allen's been pushing himself in the way to cash in tickets week to week on running it in from like the 1 yard line. Waddle's out there. Kincaid. I do think Kincaid at a plus 180 shot makes some sense, but I do think the Buffalo Bills go up and down the field on this football team today. I think Josh throws a couple touchdowns, but also Cook could have a big one. Are you worried about Cook's ankle injury at all today, Tom?
No, he said he was good to go. And this is, it's always like, all right, he pops up on Wednesday or whatever it was that he's limited. And then if he's limited again, then he's full practice on Friday. I'm not worried about that. So I would not be looking there in anything. Ray Davis and Ty Johnson, I think, won't play a big part unless it turns into a real blowout.
Yeah. Should be fun one to watch there because, again, if it does get that rain, which, again, it's Miami. Every single Sunday it has a chance to rain. It could rain for 5 minutes. It could rain for 25 minutes. It could rain for 3 minutes there. Miami's always a crazy situation, but they're usually not too big of an issue, not showing up in the weather forecast itself, but I did see that little cell that Kevin Roth was talking about over as Daniel Jones gets sacked again because he can't get rid of the football out here. Third and probably about 25 now with maybe they just called a timeout, but that's Dan. See, here's what we're talking about too, again. The Colts, I do think have a pretty good team. They're down a couple defensive tackles in this game. We'll see if those injuries are long-term. But Daniel Jones cannot win you a football game. And it's a shame because you saw last week, it was like, boy, they were running so hot, Tom. Like against Steelers, just said, you know what? We're going to sack this guy. We're going to turn this guy over. He doesn't look like Daniel Jones. And it's a carbon copy today. He just doesn't look that good in the pocket itself. Trigger shy, I should say, Tom.
Yeah, and, coming into this, people were saying like last week just a bad game for the Colts on the road versus the Steelers. The Steelers defense finally showed up. Was that like a bad game, or was Daniel Jones actually regressing from this amazing start that they had on the season, being like literally a prolific scoring offense this century? And you get some pressure on him. He's got 6 sacks today. He's threw the pick. He's got 3 fumbles himself. So not going great. I'd be wary on the Colts and some of their numbers.
Now, Daniel Jones just dropped back to pass on like 3rd and 21, but actually ran the football, Tom, for about 17 or 18 yards.
Yeah, you're like 5 seconds ahead of me.
Yeah, that's really interesting, too, but again, you like to play with the feet, Tom, but throw the football, kid. Throw the football somewhere. Just doesn't feel like he had a couple plays to get him extra pissed because I wanted a touchdown pass. He had multiple chances in the red zone to throw passes, and he just stood in the pocket and then ran the football at times. So interesting here. We'll see how this one plays, but again, I'm interested to see if they can actually get to overtime in this spot here. It's 4th and 2, Tom.
Did they use the time? Yeah, they still had the one time.
They used the timeout on the sack.
Okay.
Yeah. Here we go. So full out blitz. Wow, what a play. Okay, Daniel Jones flips it out. Warren made a great play, about a 15-yard pickup, and got out of bounds, Tom. We're rolling down the screen at this point right now.
They're just snapping it right now, and they immediately moved to minus 210 on the money line. When the drive was starting, they were plus 164. By the way.
I don't know how that ball was completed, but Warren moves up. Now, here's the interesting part. It's Daniel Jones, because a field goal gets you to overtime, Tom. Like, a field goal doesn't get you the win. Let me just move this over here because I got my monitor in the way. So even if I'm off the screen for a second, it's 1st and 10 at the 30-yard line, 1:11 left to play. You can't hand the football off anymore, right? Like, if
the only way you hand it off is if you're just settling for the field goal, like if you are predetermined.
Out of bounds. So no, bad pass into double coverage. Didn't have any chance to get interception, just threw it away. 1:07 on the clock, 2nd and 10 here. Anybody else here, like in the chat box watching this with us here? If there's any if I can steal a touchdown pass, I will love it. If I can at least get to overtime, I still would like it because you need a touchdown to convince it. Maybe it's a broken play, but at the same time, it's 1:07 on the clock. You're already in field goal range. I want to see how they play this with Daniel Jones.
But they've already had kicker issues where they missed a field goal, missed an extra point.
Daniel Jones' mouth.
So it's not like getting into field goal range.
They're at the 30. I still don't think you run the football. And look at that. Daniel Jones misses the read and gets sacked. Man, what is this guy doing out here?
Wait, is his mouth all bloody?
Yes, his mouth is all bloody.
What is going on?
Bad snap, which was supposed to be a read option, and Daniel Jones just keeps the football and takes a sack. Don't have any timeouts here at this point, so we going quick. 44 seconds, 43 seconds, 42 seconds, 41 seconds, 40 seconds, 3rd and 16, where it's got to just be a dump off because you can't hand the football off here.
No.
All right, so Pittman goes up the middle. They're going to get a field goal try. So he got maybe 8 or 9 yards back, it looks like. Clock is running, 25 seconds left. They didn't get a first down, so they got to get off the field, right? Who called timeout? I guess, the Falcons called timeout. That's interesting.
Why would you?
I guess if he makes it, they want time on the clock still. But you know what's funny with that too? But you're going to get the ball back with 15 seconds left anyway. Wouldn't you rather than go helter-skelter, run the field goal on there and be like a little bit like, now the kicker's got to chill and relax out here at this point?
Yeah, I mean.
Let's see. I'm going to cheat on this too. Let's see if he makes or misses this. We'll go over to FanDuel. This says 4th and 1 from the Atlanta 21. That's not right.
What is it? 4th and 6 was unless there was a penalty. Encroachment gives it 5 yards.
Yeah. Let's see. He made the kick, but I don't know what that 4th and 1 means here on this. Nothing.
I'm seeing 4th and 1 as well.
Yeah. It's on FanDuel, it says 4th and 1, but the field goal is made. They're walking off the field 25-25. So we're going to OT in this one. That's interesting. Good job, FanDuel. So who's putting in that
game? This game's over. It's at 50 points right there. So the game goes over.
Yeah. Game goes over to total. Headed to extras as we go at this point. So we'll keep it moving at this point. Talking about Buffalo, Miami there. 50.5, 8.5. I like Josh Allen to have a big day today. Just don't trust that Miami defense. I'm just interested to see if Miami can counterpunch in that game. Jacksonville and Houston, Tom. Trevor Lawrence and Davis Mills will be the matchup today. And correct me if I'm wrong here. How about this? So we have steam today. I didn't check in the early numbers on this because I already had some wagers placed. But now Houston is back to the favorite here, Tom, across the board, -1.5s to -1s, depending where shopting. And when most of the week it was Jacksonville. And I got to tell you, I agree with that. I agree. Like, Houston wins this game for me. I don't care if Davis is harder. Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is a game where it's really from the Texans side of things, looking at how they would approach this game. I always use the term, it's just like a risk aversion, but it's just like, all right, Davis Mills, let's not throw the ball more than 25 times if we don't have to. Let's get Chubb, let's get Woody Marks, the rookie, involved, and let's just use our defense. And now the Jags are already without Brian Thomas Jr. and Travis Hunter. They just traded for Jacoby Myers, so how much of the offense does he know? Parker Washington and De'Ami Brown. So if you already have a great pass defense and the opposing team is missing their 2 best pass catchers, let's just try and control this game via defense and via running, and that's how they win the game. It may be ugly. The 37.5 tells us enough, but this is not going to be a pretty watch. If Red Zone cuts this game more than like 5 times, I'm going to be shocked.
Yeah, take a look at some of the inactives. A couple starters down for the Texans. Obviously, C.J. Stroud, Jalen Petrie, safety on that team. The kicker, Fairbairn, Christian Harris, the linebacker, and then Titus Howard, the offensive tackle here. We'll see how they can make up for it. But their wide receivers are intact for today for Houston. And Davis Mills, who was the starter all week in practice, maybe gets a little bit more of a jump at this point. But Atlanta is, I guess he dropped that ball. We're probably headed to overtime right now, which, again, for my bet, which I still don't think it's going to win anyway, I need the Colts to win the toss and take the football. So we'll see if that happens. But also at the same time, right? Am I still correct on these overtime rules, Tom? Field goal for...
Oh, that's a bad drop.
Yeah.
Oh, I just...
Was he looking was like a hook and ladder play install? I don't even know.
I think he was just turning before. He was trying to turn up the field before.
Let's see. Pass rush on Penix, and Penix throw. He just grounded the football. So, okay. All right. So we're going to the half, or excuse me, going to overtime here. But correct me if I'm wrong, though. Let's just say the first team gets the ball, Tom kicks a field goal. Second team kicks a field goal. It's still a live game after that, right?
With the new touchdown. I would have to double check the new rules.
Yeah,
honestly,
like it changes every year at this point now. It's kind of
wild. But so, each team gets a chance to possess it unless it's a touchdown, I believe.
Yeah. Intentional grounding on the Falcons, so they'll end that game at this point right now. Baltimore, Minnesota. Here's another interesting one, Tom. Minnesota likes to bring the heat. If you bring the heat against Lamar Jackson, he usually carves it up. But I saw Lamar Jackson, which is kind of funny. Last Thursday night, I said, boy, his arm's working and the offense looks good and he can get the ball out. But he wasn't Lamar Jackson in the pocket being able to make any runs at this point. He was a step behind. Now, that was last Thursday night, so he's had some extra time. If I am getting a healthy Lamar Jackson in this game, I do think they win by over 4.5 points in this one, Tom. But it's one of those where I almost want to wait and see and watch.
Right, and in part, I remember talking about that Thursday night game with
Yeah.
you, and we were like, "Oh, if Lamar played the week prior, I forget
Mhm.
who they were playing, were supposed to play, but it's like, just beating up on Miami tell us a whole lot.
Yeah.
Like having what do you have four? He had four passing touchdowns in the game, and Derrick Henry didn't have many rushing touchdowns, right?
Yeah. Yep.
But so like that tells a lot of them beating up on Miami. I don't think so. Like I think that the Ravens are going to win. I don't know about the 4.5. I could see this landing at 3, but I think they do win this game. Any thoughts on Stafford
Yeah.
or Jackson? I assume you mean Lamar. I
Yeah.
would absolutely take Lamar. I know it's not like an easy defense really on either side. You could say that the 49ers are a little bit banged up on defense, but the ceiling for Jackson, I think, is significantly higher than Stafford.
Yeah, we'll see how that one plays out at this point. But again, just looking at that, if I know I'm getting Lamar Jackson, I know on turf with a team that likes to blitz, he should be able to escape out of the pocket and make plays. I just don't know if I'm getting that Lamar Jackson, so I held back on that game. McCarthy, numbers are a little bit better than he actually was last week,
Yeah.
and it's not a great offense. Baltimore intact, like you see it. Tom, they went through the week this week. Nobody was on the injury report. Like this is healthy as Baltimore's going to get after being as devastated as they could possibly get at this point. But that's the way I see this game. Not a lot of love. Here's another good one today, Tom. 1:00 game, New England and Tampa Bay. 1.5 now up to 2.5 across the board. Tampa Bay rested and ready at home, but still injured. Like no Godwin today. You're not getting back Bucky in the backfield. It is Baker Mayfield, and I understand that New England. If I read this line, I do think it's a stone cold Tampa Bay line. But it's one of those referendum games for me, Tom, on New England. Like, I think they can win this, but it wasn't enough for me to put my money down. And 2.5 isn't enough. You give me 3.5? Now we might be bargaining.
Right. So, home team coming off a bye. I think they're getting Luke Gedeke back there, one of their offensive linemen. So that is a bolster for Tampa, which is certainly big. Buka has been dealing with some injuries, but again, coming off the bye, he should be good to go. Tez Johnson has stepped up.
Yeah.
I like the Bucs in this game. I think the Pats have been cruising right now. I think they've had a phenomenal year. I think they will continue to cruise. I think this is a loss for them. And they are coming up on a divisional game in a short week on Thursday. They play the Jets. So I don't want to feel like this is a look-ahead spot because the Bucs are a good team. But a divisional game short week always brings another element to it. So I think the Bucs win, and I think this may be one of the weaker New England defensive performances of the year. And they've been great to start. I think they're due for a little bit of regression, but they'll be fine overall.
Yeah, we'll see what happens here. Let's see what we got here. Everyone mispronounces the hook and lateral play. It's always hook and ladder. It's always what it is, though. Always the hook and ladder. It's like water here in Philadelphia, not water. That's the way it is. All right, let's just see. Overtime rules.
Here we go.
I think the Colts won. The Colts won, got the football. Okay. All right. We're still live with a dead quarterback, but we're still live. See how this one plays out at this point. Here's a good one, Tom. Weather conditions, freezing cold.
Oh, yeah.
Weather conditions in Chicago. 21 sustained miles per hour with winds around 30 to 35 miles an hour, 36 degrees, which means, Tom, that chill is in the teens today in Chicago. One of the first weather games we're going to call where we get cold weather heading into November. 4.5-point spread here for Chicago. The Giants roll in a total of 45.5. I had the total at 47.5 earlier when we were doing plays this week on the early line. I like the under here. And the weather seems to be getting worse as the week goes, but I do think the Bears' ground game is going to beat the hell out of that Giants defense today.
Right. So if you're looking for info on Swift versus Monangai, like all the reports are saying that the team, the Bears that is, will split the carries early between DeAndre Swift and Kyle Monangai. And then Ben Johnson has alluded to that they're simply just going to go with the hot hand as the game goes on. At least on FanDuel right now, I am not seeing rush attempts for either of them. I'm seeing rush yards.
Yeah,
Swift at 42, Monangai at 48. Frankly, you give me a player that has the potential to have the quote-unquote hot hand and he's at the lower number. And Monangai has been solid over the past few weeks. I will take that number.
And you also look at this, Tom. The number's been growing, like the rushing yards for the Bears before like the public got a hold of it, right, or understood what was going on, was around 128.5. It's now 144.5 as a team. And rightfully so, though, right? Rightfully so. Like you see all that windy conditions, but also the number's been rising for the New York Giants at 133.5 for themselves on the ground here. So something to keep an eye on. But also, we were looking late in the week, and it was like, okay, well, we know Monangai is going to be the hot hand, and you see like, Ben Johnson talking about it. But then Swift, like Friday, was like, yeah, you know what? Maybe a personal day on Sunday. Now, he's still active. That doesn't sound right. So I think Monangai is going to be that dude today that maybe gets 2-1 carries over him.
Right, and Swift is coming back from an injury.
Yeah.
So, like, the re-injury risk, or whatever you want
Yep.
to call it, is always just a little bit higher. And if he gets banged up,
Yep.
then it's just going to be the middle. Like, here's what I always like to think about: if Swift was inactive again this week due to the injury, last week Monungai's line was 70 or 71, if I remember correctly. What would his line be this week? Right? If Swift was out yet again, Monungai's line would be 75 or 80, given
Yeah.
the conditions and given the matchup. So
Yeah.
I think you are getting a discount on where Monungai's ceiling really is.
Now, this is interesting. I'm watching the kickoff, and the Falcons got the kickoff. Why would you do that?
I guess the Colts deferred.
The Colts won the toss.
Yeah,
So,
but
so the rule is then even if they score a touchdown, you can still have the football back then. Because you would never do that.
right.
You might not even get the ball.
Over 9.5 carries on Monungai at 365. That's a
I gotta see these overtime rules.
I don't have access to 365, but that's a great bet. Like, again, if he truly is the hot hand, Monungai's been, it's not just like, oh, if he's good, like Monungai's been awesome the past few weeks. So it's not like we're banking on him like, oh, can this unknown quantity step up? Like, he's been legit good. So 9.5 is a great number.
Oh, you know what? I actually wish they would have lost it because now it is, Tom. The Falcons can score a touchdown here, and no matter what, the Colts get the football back.
But I think they're doing it based on like the guaranteed possession, so they can just get the stop here and force the punt. And
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Yeah, because I thought it was maybe just the overtime rules in the playoffs that if one team gets a touchdown, then it's a wrap and you don't get the other chance to counter. But it's in the regular season, so absolutely you should give the other team the football then. 100%.
Right.
Damn it, I was cheering like, hey, you got to win the toss. Damn it, I wish you would have lost the toss at that point. Oh well.
So Fanatics is just not working right now. So great stuff to have on a Sunday morning.
Crashed on you over there, man.
When just completely unavailable.
Yeah.
So I can't even check to see if Fanatics has the rush attempt prop for Kyle Monungai.
So now I'm rooting for Penix. These two bad quarterbacks, man. So I'm actually rooting for a touchdown here for Atlanta. So again, it's one of those I was trying to get out of the flames, but look at the third down conversions, Tom, in this game. 1 for 18 between both of these teams. You put this way. Hey, Tom, if I would have told you total's 48.5, they're going to go 1 for 18 on third down, you might think this game might not even get out of the 20s.
I mean, what was the game we had?
Holy moly.
That ended with like 15.
Yeah.
I forget what it was. A couple Sundays ago, maybe. Just an absolute dead under.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't expect that. They're giving it 50 points. They're going forward on fourth down. We're on these huge runs by Jonathan Taylor to get him in the scoring range. And we also have missed field goals, which leaves points on the board.
Big flag out there for Atlanta. Third down, just a little toss heave out there. It looks like we had a Blackman penalty on the defenders. Somebody saying it's uncatchable at this point. Let's see. Nope, they called it. First down, Atlanta, as they move on. Let's move on to the 4 o'clock hour, Tom. Arizona and Seattle. 7s across the board now, up from 6.5 this week. Everybody loves Seattle, but Arizona playing a good brand of football with Jacoby Brissett at this point. We don't know if we're going to get Cooper Kupp back, but you are getting Shaheed to pair along with Jackson Smith and Jigba at this point. Is this a runaway game for Seattle, or how do you play this one? I don't have any wagers in this game.
I want to say getting the 7 with the Cardinals is the right side, but we all know that Seattle's the clear better team. So a divisional matchup and hanging a 7, I'll take the 7 if I had to pick. But I'm also waiting for, like, when's the bottom going to fall out on Arizona? Like, can they continue to be this productive with Jacoby? And I got to say, I think Jacoby is absolutely one of the best backup quarterbacks that there is in the league. But I'm just a little bit worried that, like, we're just not going to get that continued performance. And if he didn't have a good performance last week in prime time versus Dallas, I think this number would be 8 or 8.5.
I don't know what's going on with FanDuel. Do you ever watch? Because sometimes we used to always do the show on the set. I used to watch FanDuel, like 5 plays ahead. It's 2nd and 18 on the Indianapolis 34, but it's not. They're on their own 34. I think they jacked up FanDuel at the end of that football game. They can't get it back. If you're just like watching
2nd and 12.
Yeah, it's 3rd and 12 now. And it says 2nd and 18 from the Indy 34. So if you're work, like, hell yeah, we're going to score.
I think it's the overtime. They flip sides, and now it says Atlanta. I see 3rd and 12, Atlanta 34.
Yeah, they just reset it back to 3rd and 12. It was correct. But that's crazy how it starts. But it looks like we're going to get the football back if they get a stop here for the Indianapolis Colts at this point. Jackson Smith and Jigba, the hot hand every week, Tom. You don't get any bargain. It reminds me of like Saquon Barkley last year. Like, you never get a bargain, but he always goes over. Does he go over again today?
Probably. I would
Yeah.
say it's tough to bet against him, knowing just the volume of targets and, given where the target distribution is for the Seahawks with
Yeah.
Torrey Horton out. We're not sure if Cooper Kupp's going to play. Like, yeah, they're bringing Rashid Shaheed, but like, how involved can they get him in? In a 4 days or whatever it is since the trade deadline. The 30+% target share that JSN has won't be anything different this week than it was in previous weeks.
Yeah.
I would never bet under, but I also don't love betting the over.
Penix got sacked on a third down here, so 0 for 8 for them and like 1 for $1 million for the Colts on third downs
Let me
today.
put it like this with Jason, now that I think about it in my head. I would rather bet his alt line at +110 and go for the plus money rather than bet over 95.5 at -112. I would rather go to +144 for 110 yards than go to -112. I'd rather just say, like, if he is this good and they're this weak or this injured at wide receiver, he's not just going to go over this. He'll go over that extra step, and I'll just take the plus money.
Yeah. It's interesting. 45.5 in that game, Tom, Arizona. I like the way Brissett's been playing. I don't love this game. Like I want to bet Seattle, but I want Seattle like full gas at this point and wait for it. And I want to see them like get Shaheed all ingrained. And I know people really like the Seattle Seahawks, but it's touchdown, man. Like Arizona's playing really good football defensively and offensively.
Yeah, I'm confused on this game. I will say, I think Seattle wins. I'm not sure they cover, and that's how it is for a lot of these games with weird numbers. Again, if you gave me if Jacoby played badly last week in primetime versus the Colts. The Cowboys. I think this number would be 8, and I would love the Cardinals at that point.
Yeah, and they would probably have Kyler Murray back, but they're like, yo, Bruce, we have another 4 weeks here. We'll pay you. Don't worry about it. No controversy at this point right now. 425 game, Detroit and Washington, Tom. Detroit didn't look all that good against Minnesota here, but you're going up against a really bad defense in Washington, an angry Detroit team, which also has the Philadelphia Eagles on deck next week here. Total around 48.5 to 49.5. Side is 7.5 to 8.5. Not bad weather, though, Tom. High 60s, no rain in the forecast, really light winds today. I think Detroit gets untracked on offense. You could probably name their number. If not, I'm worried about them.
Yeah, if they can't score and put up points, like they look good for a quarter and a half of that game last week versus the Vikings, maybe a full half if you want to add it together. But this is not a line you should have been anticipating coming into this matchup. Obviously, Daniel's now hurt, but I think the Lions win going away. I really do. That's a huge catch by Warren if I'm seeing that.
8 for 99 now for Warren. Good ball by Danny Dimes at that point right here.
So, like you said, I think the Lions name their number. I think they win this easily. I think Mariota will score. I think this game could end up 34-20, which would be a lot of points, and the Lions would cover, and then the Lions are ready to roll into next week.
Yeah. There goes there. So it looks like we're at the 26-yard line. Probably one more first down. We'll probably do it, which stinks. This is why I wanted the Colts to get the football first. I would have loved this drive to be the first drive of the half in overtime because they would have went down and scored a touchdown, but no need to do that now. We'll see if they do it. And Taylor, just a monster goes on the ground. Yeah, it's just patient running that 83-yard touchdown. It's like he gets lost in the line of scrimmage, bounces it out to the side, and boom, absolutely gone. So we have a second and 3, 5:40 on the clock. Probably just another handoff at this point right now. They're not going to trust Daniel Jones to throw the football.
No, like that's it. Because they've already had the possession for the Falcons, I think they'll try and move it down towards a touchdown. But if they get stopped, they'll just go for the field goal and win the game.
Yeah. Next up here, Tommy, Los Angeles and San Francisco. Mac Jones going to get another start today, 425. Big game in the NFC West. This line opened around 3. Now sits 5.5, and 6s are showing up in that for the Rams. For me, I love Matthew Stafford, but his prices are ridiculous today. He's got to throw 3 touchdowns to make any money. He should. That San Francisco team cannot rush the passer, and you take a look at a team with 2 dominant wide receivers and all the time in the pocket. But San Francisco just plays the Rams really well. Like, if I had to put money on this game sidewise, I'd still take the Rams. I just can't trust the 49ers anymore. I just can't do it.
I know. And there's so many positive trends to support Kyle Shanahan as an underdog at home in divisional matchups, and especially him versus McVay. We saw it in week 4, whatever it was, when the Rams were at home on that Thursday night game, and everyone thought it was going to be Rams. And the 49ers win. When divisional matchups like this, especially when the 2 teams are good, I just assume, and I don't want to say like blindly assume, that like one team wins one game, one team's win the other. Like when the Steelers and Ravens are at their best, it's like one team's going to win one and the other team's going to win the other. And that's kind of how I play these. But I really don't like the 5.5 number at all. really despise it. So I'm actually hoping that the 49ers get off to a hot start, and I can live bet the Rams at plus money on the money line, close to even money, or plus points, and that's what I'll be doing. But it's really difficult to handicap this game.
It is. It's definitely. By the way, Jay Luis, yo, Mr. Duns. Let's see. Fire that props. Do you like Stephon Diggs over 4.5 receptions today? I mean, I don't hate it at this point. It's not one of them that I circled and said I got to get after it, but I do think there's going to be a lot of pressure coming from that Todd Bowles defense. And I don't love the game because I do think New England can win it, but Tampa Bay's off a bye, and you're getting that big test, and we'll see what happens. So it's a decent shot, but what do you think, Tom, with that one?
You know me, I always prefer yards before
Jonathan
receptions.
Taylor walks into the end zone for a touchdown.
Okay.
Hey, that dude is a monster.
Yeah, 32, 244, 3.
Man, it's a beast, man. Man, it's an absolute beast at this point. So Colts go away with a victory, 31-26. You do get the cover, though, if you're the Atlanta Falcons, but the game does go over the total. Colts move to 8-2 and another season in peril for Atlanta with a really bad head coach. 32 carries, 244 yards, and 3 touchdowns for Jonathan Taylor. He looks like he's an absolute machine out there at this point. I ordered some prop bets, Tom, for that Rams 49ers game today.
There's nothing that I love. There's really nothing. I was considering taking a Stafford one. The prices are too high. I was looking. You're never going to get a discount on Puka. I never love betting into his props as well. I do like CMC over 51.5 receiving yards specifically. That's what I like the most for that game. He's going to be involved. Their reception prop was 5.5, with juice towards the over. They're going to have to get him involved early in the passing game if they're playing from behind. And really, to get to a 51 number for CMC, he doesn't need 6 catches. Like, you give him 2 catches, he's going to break one of those off for 15 or 20 yards. And then you need another 8 yards here, 10 yards there. And all of a sudden we're at 45, 50, and he's right at the number.
Yeah, I think Stafford gets a couple touchdown passes. Didn't want to pay that 3 up here, but Tom, an interesting one there. Like, I take a look at some of those touchdown props as opposed to the team totals. You know, over 3.5 touchdowns in this game for them, over 2.5 touchdowns. Those type of actions here, I think, can make some sense. Sunday night football, Tom. Pittsburgh and Los Angeles. Loved what I saw out of Pittsburgh last week. That defense finally showed up. Here's what I'm worried about. I do think it makes sense for me to take the Steelers at +3 because what I'm looking at is when you try to define a team, I love the skill positions for the Chargers. I love their quarterback, Tom. I love their wideout. I love their new tight end, Gadsden, that they're using repeatedly. He looks like an up-and-coming superstar right now. The problem is, do we have enough time to throw the football for Justin Herbert? Because once Alt goes back down, that line is in peril, and you know it if you're a Steelers guy. You're bringing the heat today.
And it's really interesting given the fact that the Steelers defense was terrible through basically all the season, and then last week they looked fantastic. Yeah, right. Last week they flipped the switch and they caused all the pressure on Daniel Jones and the Colts offense. So getting the points with the Steelers when I don't want to say that they're peaking or they're rounding into form, but they are doing the thing that they need to do when they're facing a team with the Chargers who are struggling on the offensive line with the thing that is going to compound what the Steelers are actually getting better at. So it's really tough to lay the points with the Chargers. But again, when you just line these teams up skill position wise, everything falls with the Chargers almost. I want to take all of their DK Metcalf. Okay, we cancel him out, but then there's 2 other receivers. There's a tight end, the running back. You can maybe cancel out the quarterback. I'll take with Justin Herbert. It is a really tough line. I'm excited to cover this game tonight when I do the show, but I would lean under and I would take the Steelers.
By the way, wind is horrendous there in Chicago. Just seeing some of those highlights coming through from some of the beat reporters here. It's crazy bad. If I look at today's schedule, Tom, and I just say, who are your sides today? I'm taking some ugly ones. I'm taking the Jets today. I'm taking Houston. 2 teams at home, not very good, where Jacksonville's supposed to be better. Cleveland's supposed to be better. I'm just not trusting those 2 teams. I think a 1-1 split at worst case scenario, but I'm still going to take that under 45.5, even if it's down from 47.5 for the New York-Chicago game in this point. What are you looking at today from your card today to give the people before we get out of here?
Outside of props, I like CMC over. I like Juwan Johnson over. I like Breece Hall under rushing. The first 2 receiving. Breece Hall's under rushing. I'm looking at under 49.5 for Bills Dolphins. I think that's just a bit too high. The Dolphins laying an egg and scoring 7 points or 10 points is very viable. And the Bills coming away with a 30-10 win, I think is super realistic. And 49.5, I think, is way, way too high. I don't mind the Bucks at 2.5 and my laying the 2.5 points, and then give me the Cardinals at +7.
Yeah, I think there's a couple interesting spots. Again, sometimes you'll get some of these teams that should be able to name their price. Like Buffalo should just go up and down against Miami. But is it going to be running or is it going to be throwing at this point for the Buffalo Bills at that point? Chicago should beat down the Giants, but anytime you have that bad of wind, it sort of evens the playing field. It's who's going to be able to run the football more. I just think it's a steady running game. That clock churns the entire way, all the way through. Jared Goff, same thing. I think after last week's performance, unless maybe Washington found something, hey, just keep on blitzing and they can't show up. I don't think that's going to be the case. Like Detroit should be able to run the football at will, which means play action passes with those wideouts, Tom, downfield. Shoot all the way down. Fun game in that Rams and San Francisco 49ers game. But that's it, Tommy boy. Another Sunday on deck, Week 10 NFL. We'll watch this bad boy play out and have some fun. How about it, Tom?
And then we go back to Lambeau tomorrow night for the Eagles.
Cold weather, good football game. Line dropping here at this point. I got 15% of the tickets coming in on Green Bay, which is astounding at this point. But every time, Tom, I get a new injury report, it gets worse for Green Bay. It's kind of wild as it goes.
Worse for Green Bay. Brown and Saquon full on Friday, ready to roll. Coming off a bye.
Yeah.
I like the Eagles.
Sirianni 4-0 off a bye. It's the way you do it. All right, boys, thanks for tuning in. We'll be back prime time football tomorrow night. Eagles and the Packers.